All right, ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to another great episode on your favorite political talk show, The Truth with Ben Jokes. Now, the pains and torture of Nigerians continue under the APC. Tinubu is now moving to set his son, Sheyi Tinubu, over Lagos State as governor after Sanwo-Olu, and this update has emerged in that regard. Exercise your governorship ambition in Osun State. Lagos youths tell Sheyi Tinubu, but do they have the resolve to stop a man who is cursed with the lust for power? Only time shall tell. According to reports, Simon Ekpa has been arrested in Finland over terrorism activities. APC and Tinubu will arrest everything except hunger, poverty, and insurgency. And Atiku Abubakar has fired at Tinubu, condemning his penchant for loans that has now made Nigeria the third most indebted country to the World Bank. Point of correction there, Atiku and your team. We will actually become the most indebted country to the World Bank after that $2.2 billion loan is released. So let's set the record straight. We are the country taking the most loans, yet we are the poorest and one of the least industrialized in the world. What an irony. And few hours ago, a very heartbreaking update dropped out of Katsina. This update is heartbreaking and very, very scary at the same time. The Nigerian Air Force dropped a bomb in a community in Katsina State, and they claimed that it was not an accident. They boldly said that they dropped the bomb in that community because bandits were living there with the locals. Unbelievable. So if bandits occupy a place amongst innocent Nigerians, is it right for the people to die with them? But these guys are saying that was what they did. So I can be living in a community now and bandits come there and invade it, and I can be sure that at any time Air Force can drop bomb on me. Can you just imagine that? And just as Nigerians were yet reacting to that tragedy, a video dropped from the G20 summit in Brazil. It was Tinubu's speech, and for me, as a Nigerian, it was painful to watch. I felt so embarrassed listening to that. Tinubu practically reduced Nigeria and Nigerians to beggars in that summit. How can this country be so blessed and then Tinubu goes to a summit to beg the world to come and feed Nigerians, to beg the world to come and fix the educational sector in this country? It is one of the most disgraceful videos you will ever watch this year. Before I show you that video and details of that bombing of a community in Katsina, let me quickly show you this video that further stresses how poor Tinubu's cabinet and leadership style is. See the video.
Right.
Yeah.
Good.
So now you have that. You remember that about 12 years ago, the concept of I need my own attack dog came into the presidency. A president does not need an attack dog. The Shagari government was more attacked than any other government. Right. More than Shagari. Babangida was even a military leader. The media was shredding him. You see, is an indication of maturity, that you allow the thing to go on, and then when your spokesperson comes, people are compelled to pay attention. And when you also have a spokesperson who is not naturally offensive, who by the time he leaves, you can isolate ABCD things he said. The challenge with the crowd, the dancing team he has brought out is this. They are all so busy entertaining that they are distracting the audience, so there's nobody to watch. They're also eager to say, oh, you know, the president did this. Oh, don't forget the purpose of this. You see, it becomes information dissemination, not communication, not advocacy. And then you go, you know, Mr. President, I've already told them, you still, they are not appreciating this thing you did. No. What is the image? Even when you don't understand the president, the dignity of those working with him compels you to exercise some caution.
Do you think President Tinubu is in charge here in terms of choosing who should speak for him?
I think I would rather just advise him on how to solve this problem that he has put himself in now. Bayo Ononuga leads and carries a title that makes it clear that he's leading. Every other person takes second step and get titles that let them understand that this is the boss. You know why? Because somebody has to be responsible for getting the welfare for them to be able to even do the job, the slush fund and managing it. Somebody has to be responsible for measuring to see that whether performance indicators are met. Right. Somebody has to be responsible whether the tone of voice is appropriate. Somebody has to be responsible to determine whether we're going to respond to this person or we're not going to respond to this person. That's on one side. Yeah. The other thing is, with due respect to the president, if you cannot put together a simple thing like a communication team, which of them will be in cabinet to understand the directive principles of your government? All three? Okay, if you are going abroad, and you have to go some of these trips, which of them goes with you as a rule? The Prime Minister of India was here a couple of days ago. While he was in Nigeria, you can see what his com teams were doing. They were already generating the traction of the stories and all that. It was already going haywire. What were our own Humpty Dumpty Startup? What were they doing? Busy taking picture. One person was running ahead, breaking protocols to jump in front of them. We're just disgracing ourselves. If you see I'm a little bit agitated, you know why? I'm agitated because, you see, when your brother fails,
you fail.
You have failed.
Right.
Today now, the kind of bragging right people like us used to have when people like General Buhari or any other person was on the table as Yoruba men is all but gone.
You heard that. The last speaker there, Chief Segun Showunmi, he said as a Yoruba man, he has lost his bragging rights because of the failure of Tinubu. You know, Yorubas used to have that bragging rights that they are the intellectuals of Nigeria. But with the nonsense that is going on in this regime, they have lost that right. APC supporters said Tinubu had been planning all his life to rule Nigeria, yet he can't even set up a decent media team. If a person fails at setting up a mere media team, how would such a person succeed in the area of the economy? He won't. All Tinubu's appointments are based on nepotism and tribalism, and that is why the country is sinking under him. What a shame. Now, let us look at those two updates that have become the major talking points in the Nigerian political media space. First is that tragic update coming from Katsina State, where the Nigerian Air Force dropped a bomb on a community, and they owned up that they dropped that bomb not mistakenly but deliberately. So they deliberately took out the supposed bandits in that community with the innocent Nigerians. And next is that disgraceful Tinubu video coming from the G20 summit in Brazil. Let's start by taking that tragic update coming out of Katsina. Look at how the papers reported it. Breaking: scores feared dead as Nigerian Air Force targeting terrorists bombs Katsina community. Reporters: tragedy reportedly struck in Katsina State, northwest Nigeria, as multiple casualties are reported following an accidental bombing by the Nigerian Air Force. The incident reportedly occurred in Shawu village, Ruwan Godiya district, Faskari local government area on Thursday morning. According to an eyewitness, the airstrike was intended to target bandits in the area, but mistakenly hit the community. The exact number of fatalities and injuries is yet to be confirmed. Sali Ubanle Bakatsin, a resident of Katsina State, broke the news of the accidental bombing on his X handle. He said moments ago, Nigeria Air Force mistakenly bombarded Shawu community. Several people are now confirmed dead and many others injured. Shawu community is under Ruwan Godiya district, Faskari LGA, Katsina State. May the Almighty have mercy on those who lost their lives, grant healing to the injured, and bring ease in the future. The State Commissioner for Internal Security, Dr. Nasiru Muazu, confirmed that there was bombing in the area, but said it was not accidental. According to him, it was a precision strike targeted at terrorists and not civilians. Whoever told you that the attack was accidental lied. The bomb was dropped on purpose. Terrorists were the target. Make no mistake about this. The Nigerian military is highly professional in its operations. They strike after surveillance and then getting the coordinates of the target before striking. You see, Shawu has become notorious for harboring bandits and other forms of terrorists. That's why the area was targeted, Muazu added. In the same vein, the Faskari Local Government Council Chairman Musa Ado Faskari said the airstrike was precise because bandits have infiltrated the community. When asked about the fate of innocent citizens living in Shawu, he said, "It is unfortunate that it has happened, but the truth is that there is just no alternative to this. After all, majority of the good people have left Shawu because of the heavy presence of bandits. Let me tell you, all around, when kidnapping for ransom is carried out, you will always get to hear that the plan was hatched in Shawu," Ado said. Clearly, he was not hiding it. He said, after all the good people have left. Anybody that is still left there, if he goes down, let him go down. They don't care. And look at how Nigerians reacted. Let's take a few tweet reactions. Idara here says, "This is the 5th time it happened. Every state the Fulanis attack that fight back. The Air Force has an accidental airstrike on the place, or the army goes in under pretext of preventing reprisals. Claim the locals killed a soldier and burn the victim community." And this tweet here by Edo Wizard said, "Why use air bombs on a community where people occupy? Who gives the command, by the way? Sambisa Forest is there. You don't use airstrike often when it is needed, but using airstrike in a community filled with people is so unprofessional and stupid." They say they don't care that majority of the good people have left. So the few good ones who don't have the resources to live should die with the bandits. And this tweet here by Oriaja Ogun says, "Again, and no one will be held accountable as usual. Too many signs of a failed state." And just as Nigerians were yet reacting to that, that video of Tinubu's speech from the G20 summit in Brazil began making the rounds. This man practically reduced Nigeria to a country that was incapable of doing anything on its own. What a disgrace. Let's see the video.
Your Excellency Luis Lula da Silva, the President of the Federative Republic of Brazil, other world leaders here present, Your Excellencies, Head of State and Government, it is an honor to address this gathering of the G20 Leaders Summit taking place in this beautiful and historic city of Rio. Let me, at the onset, express gratitude to the government of Brazil for extending the invitation to us, and to me in particular, as Nigeria, and to highlight the problem of poverty and hunger. The session devoted to fighting poverty and hunger. I am from Nigeria. It's better to give you the true picture of what's going on. In Africa, we have terrorism challenges, insecurity challenges that are preventing farmers to even go to their farm. We have problem in Sudan, displacing people. We have problem of climate change, flooding, destroying crops. And we have problem of protectionism. We have problems. It is very important to make it clear and louder here. We have problem of out of school children. We have problem of funding free education or giving our children 1 meal a day in a classroom to even make them pay attention to schooling. Africa has that problem. And the problem is compounded by some other conflicts around the world in Ukraine and others, the war on Gaza Strip. That's poverty-driven problems. What do I do to help the small-scale industry? the cost of funding is expensive. What do I do to get power to industrialize my country? The cost of funding is extremely expensive. The developed world need to extend these promises that you have heard here today. I must salute every one of you. But support the continent. The neglect of Africa is a danger to the rest of humanity. And we have to lift one another up. We have to build an inclusive economy that takes into account the population growth. In Nigeria, I have over 250 million souls. The fight against hunger and poverty is not a matter of choice, but a matter of priority for me.
You saw that. Now, all through that shameful video, one of the things that kept running through my mind was a Peter Obi speaking for Nigeria in such a gathering. He would have exuded the pride of this blessed land. Listening to Tinubu in that video, you could begin to think that this country has no resources at all. But Nigeria has some deposits. As a matter of fact, good deposits of each of the top 10 most sought after natural resources known to man. And we have the money and the know-how to explore them. But we are only focused on petroleum, on crude oil. And even that one, the resources coming from it should have been enough. But you guys have embezzled everything. Now you are making it look as if we don't have what it takes to do all these things for ourselves. We have now become public beggars. We have the money, we have the resources, yet Tinubu wants world leaders to come out and do a job that he grabbed and snatched power to do. You say there is hunger in Nigeria. We have the best soils and the most agriculture-friendly climatic condition. One of the most agriculture-friendly climatic conditions in the world. You may reference insecurity, but you and Buhari formed the APC that brought Boko Haram and empowered headsmen. So what are we talking about here? I'm talking about out-of-school children. The number was dropping steadily under Jonathan, to the point that Jonathan even built Almajiri schools. He did everything to bring down the number of out-of-school children. But what did you do? You and Buhari walked your way into Aso Rock, and Buhari began destroying everything Jonathan had built, and the number of out-of-school children started going up. And Buhari took it up until he left it at between 18 to 22 million. And you came in, Tinubu, and removed subsidy on education to worsen the menace. So what are you saying? And the funny thing about this whole thing is, if you compare the lifestyles of all the world leaders at that summit, I can bet that Tinubu's own will be one of the most expensive. Of the 20 of them, he will be in top 3. The private jet he's flying in will be one of the most expensive. And you are telling these other countries to come and, sponsor education in your country. Let them come and, sponsor the power sector in your country. Meanwhile, they have been able to cut down the cost of governance, to do these things, to invest in their own economy. You are lavishing money and you are telling them to come and do it for you. You know to buy a jet for yourself. You know to buy escalates for yourself. You know to build mansions for Shetima. Spend billions in renovating your offices. Besiege your wife with opulence procured with funds from government coffers. But when it comes to feeding your nation, when it comes to providing education, you say other world leaders should come and do it for you. Is this not abnormal? And of course, he claimed he was speaking for Nigeria and the rest of Africa. That is what we are designed to always say in Africa. Anytime you see an African leader, talking in the midst of other world leaders, they'll say Africa is poor and wretched. Africa is this, Africa is that, nothing good about Africa. Let them come and help us. They should come and assist us. So it's just a script that all of them play along with. All the resources that are embedded in this continent, you guys don't look at all those things. And you say all these things, how poor you are. Later you turn around and begin to ask for respect after bringing yourself down. And that was why Peter Obi was speaking the other day. He said, we have all it takes in this country to be great. We don't need to go out to meet anybody for anything. And I believe it wholeheartedly. But look at how Tinubu was putting Nigeria down there. But this is the APC. I don't expect anything different. They have come to steal, to kill, and to destroy. And if Nigerians want to put this country back in its place in the Committee of Nations, it is easy. Let us cast aside our sentiments, come together, unite, and take our country back. Kick the APC out of power and install leaders whose hearts beat for the people. But until then, make I still enter town. Make I go get some ogbonge political news. Wey una go like. Why? Because of una. Na I dey here, so don't go away. Don't go.